So I did the PowerPoint, so that error was mine. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. I said 17, but I went to 19. So good morning. In 1972, I started at Webster Groves High School in the Webster Groves School District. Now, at that time, the high school was only 10th, 11th, and 12th grade because they had too many students. Now, Webster High School is 3 floors high, and it goes an entire city block. This is the north entrance, and there's another south entrance at the other end of the school. So, let's see if I can do this. Okay, the Webster Groves School District makes up Shrewsbury, Webster, and Rock Hill. And the high school is right here in the middle. Okay, for those of you that can see, right here in the middle is the high school. There was one bus for the entire school district, and you had to live 3 miles from the high school to be able to ride the bus. This is where I lived, 2.8 miles from the high school. So I got to walk through the rain and the snow and the wind and uphill. Yeah, I got to do all of that, right? Okay, so that means that anybody who rode a bus had to be on the outskirts of the school district. Now, as you can see, Interstate 44 cuts across, and it wasn't built then. There's actually train tracks that go along the same way, but 44 hadn't been built. And so most of the students who lived in the south part of Webster were predominantly white. And most of the students who lived in the north part of Webster were students of color. So needless to say, when they would come to the school, the white students would come in through the south entrance, and the students of color would come in through the north entrance, okay? So what you need to remember, though, is I'm a military brat. I grew up all over this country. I went to school in New York, New Jersey, California, Alaska, Virginia, and most of them were on a military base. And on the military base, we could care less what color your skin was. I went to school with Eskimos and people from the Philippines and from India, and you name it, I went there. But what was important, because every group has to have a dividing line, the question that was always asked as soon as you came to the new school, and it was usually your father, was your dad an enlisted man or was he an officer? Because us enlisted men kids always said the officers' kids got treated better. And they did. But anyway. So we were always dividing people up. Now, I'm going to go back, I think. Okay. So now my locker, of course, because I'm a sophomore, is on the 3rd floor above the north entrance. And I had joined First Congregational Church in Webster Groves, which is right down the street. And we had partnered with Peace Lutheran, which is now Peace Lutheran, to do an after-school program on Wednesdays. And the kids would come from the neighborhood, and we would have a snack, and we would help them with their homework. It was a great experience. So because my locker's on the 3rd floor, on Wednesdays I'd gather my books, and I'd walk downstairs, and I would exit the north entrance, hit Lockwood, 10 minutes, and I was at the church. It was fine, or so I thought. So now remember, I'm still in high school, I'm learning and getting ahead of a new group, things are happening here, and about a month later, the group or the crowd that I am hanging with decides they need to have a conversation with me. And they said, we need to talk. I'm like, okay, about what? And they said, well, we know what you're doing, but we just don't like the way you're doing it. We don't want you to leave through the building through the north exit. Why does anybody care how I leave the building? It was 1972. They said, what we want you to do is we want you to go out the south exit. So in other words, you want me to walk the entire building, go out the exit, and then walk the entire building back to come back up to Lockwood. Pretty much. And so I thanked them for their concern, and I left. And I remember that whole weekend thinking, why do they care up in Webster. They can tell you who they went to kindergarten with. For me, that was 5 states ago. I had no idea who I went to kindergarten with. So I was a transplant. I had nothing like they had. I didn't get this whole growing up with everybody else. That just wasn't my foundation. And so I had to trust in it, which is exactly what our scripture was saying today. Paul had a choice to make. He was a really good Jew when he was Saul of Tarsus. He was such a good Jew. And all he wanted to do was to raise up his faith. And yet, now Jews were following this Jesus guy, and he really didn't want anything to do with that. And so he persecuted them, and he was proud of it, and his crowd that he hung with were cheering him on. Attaboy, that's the way to do it. Because these new Jews, they were destroying the way of life that we had as a Jewish community. Until, as we know, Paul's on the road to Damascus, and he has an experience of Jesus. And Jesus calls him out and says, "Stop crucifying my people. Stop hurting my people. I am calling you to a new ministry. I am calling you to be an apostle." So Paul has a choice. Does he go back to the old group, which he knows, he's comfortable with, he gets? Or does he go to this new crowd? Well, frankly, this new crowd's not so sure they want him. We've seen what you've done. Really, Jesus, do we have to accept this guy? And I think the old crowd is saying, what is he doing? Oh, wait, maybe he's infiltrating that group so he can really do some damage. Nobody knows where he's at, and probably Paul doesn't know either. He is having to make a decision. And yet what happens is Jesus says, I know what you've done. But it is through God's grace that you are forgiven and you are given a new vision, a new way of looking at life, and you have a new calling. That is, if Paul decides to take the new calling. Now he knows what the other side is capable of doing. And if he leaves, he knows he is subject to the harsh punishment that he has inflicted on these new Jews. And yet, he has to make a decision. So what about you? What groups do you hang around with? Are they only groups that think one particular way? Do you only listen to one radio station or TV station or podcast because you like the way they think and you just can't bring yourself to listen to an opposing viewpoint? Do you have a voice in your crowd? What if you see things differently? Can you speak up? Or is there a chance that if you do, you could be ostracized from the very crowd that gives you your support? More decisions. So while I was trying to make a decision in 1972 whether to go through the north entrance or the south entrance, in the same year, 1972, in North Carolina, Ann Atwater, who was a social activist, and C.P. Ellis, who was the leader of the Ku Klux Klan, had their own problems going on. You see, as Webster was naturally integrated, North Carolina was not. And the problem was there was an elementary school that the children of color went to that had an electrical fire and it burned down. And so now the community had to decide where were these children going to go to school. And so they brought in a man from the north, and he took them through what they call a charrette. And what a charrette is, you take opposing forces and you bring them together, and together they have to come up with a decision that the entire community will then embrace. So you purposely pull people that are completely opposite. So there was a team of people over here with Ann Atwater, and there's a team of people over here with C.P. Ellis. Even though those two were the leaders, and they were brought together over weeks and months. They talked together, they ate together, they experienced things together, and what they discovered was that each of them were so passionate about their beliefs. And that they could respect. But because of the time that they spent together, they began to see the humanity in the other person. And what did that do? That caused them to begin to see the world just a little bit different. And in the end, it changed both of them. Even though they went into it pretty sure they had no reason to be changed. So, are you willing to be changed? Are you willing to risk it all like Paul did? Because you have been called to live a different kind of life? Are you willing to stand on your own when nobody else will be with you? Or maybe even forge a new group of people that says life can be different because it starts with ourselves. So I know you're wondering, what did I do? Did I go out the north entrance the next week? Or did I go out the south entrance? So the next Wednesday, and for every Wednesday for the rest of the school year, I exited the building through the north entrance, knowing that my choice was going to have consequences. And my choice did. And I found out really quick who were my true friends. And there weren't a lot of them. Because remember, I'm that transplant girl that nobody really knew from kindergarten. And that choice that I made on that day changed my entire high school experience for the next 2 years. Some of it was good, and some of it was not. It was not an easy choice to make, but based on the foundation that I had, for me, it was the only choice I could make. And I was willing to give these people up because I felt called to do what I needed to do. Thanks be to God.